Hi there, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. So today I'm going to talk to you about franchising. A lot of people get confused about what a franchise really is. So first of all, a franchise is not Amway, Arbonne, any of those. That's direct sales. Franchising is not direct sales. It's not multi-level marketing. It is not licensing. Now there is franchising and there's licensing. Those are two different. But let me tell you a little story about franchising. So I got started in franchising in the 70s. And in those days, the only way we really could advertise for franchise owners was either doing trade shows. And those were really a big thing in franchising because it was the only way you could really get your name out in front of people. You have no idea how lucky you are today. But anyway, so the other way you could advertise is in the newspaper. You could advertise in the Wall Street Journal on Thursdays. You could advertise in USA Today and Entrepreneur Magazine. That was about it. And so when franchising first started, one of the things that happened was that the salespeople and the companies were developing all of these pro formas. And people were all excited about this new business model, and they were making decisions based on the bottom line. Well, I want that franchise because it makes that kind of money. Well, that turned out to create a lot of time in court because what was happening is people were getting into the business. It didn't suit them. They didn't have the right skill set, and they were suing the franchisor. So the FTC came in and said, oh, that's not going to work. And so they came up with, in those days, it used to be called earnings claims. It's item 19, and you'll hear a lot about this. And the only way that anyone can tell you how much money you can make in the business is either in the item 19, which is published in a document that you will be receiving, or you can talk to the franchisees. So if a franchise company tells you that they can't tell you how much money you can make, they're not trying to hide anything. It's just the law. They can't help it. Now, companies are giving you more and more information. But let me tell you something else that I like to say about franchising, and that is that when they put franchising together, one of the things I'm very simple and I'm very visual. And so what I like to say is they put together this document, and it's like they had to have something to hold it all together. And they had to have a mechanism that, remember, franchising is all about brands and system. And if you have a franchise in your market and there's another franchisee in the market next to you, and that franchisee, if it's a retail location, has a dirty store, he has terrible customer service, and his quality of product isn't very good, well, that's going to affect you because they're not going to know if it was your location or their location. So they had to have certain parameters that said you have to have these standards to protect the brand and the systems. And so if they didn't follow these standards, there was a reason that they would be asked to leave the network. So when you look at the things that they're going to do for you and the things that you have to do, remember, it's all about the brand and it's all about consistency. You know, one of the reasons that franchising is so successful is because people do not like change. Oh boy, do we ever know about that since the pandemic, right? So people don't do well with change. And so when people would go to a restaurant and they, have a meal, and then they come back another time and that their favorite meal is off the menu and they're trying something new, people don't like that. A lot of times they'll never return. And the reason that franchising is so successful is you can go to McDonald's in Orange County, you can go to McDonald's in London. The difference in London, they'll give you vinegar for your chips, not your French fries. There's a McDonald's in Japan. I've got a picture of myself. Actually, I should show that, of me sitting on the steps at McDonald's. It was actually very nice to have American food when I was in Japan, but I did love Japan. Anyway, I'm digressing. So you're going to be receiving a document that has 23 items in it. Now, I don't want you to get that document and get all freaked out. As a matter of fact, I don't even want you to look at it to begin with. I had a client one time, I introduced her to 3 different companies, and she spent a whole weekend going through and reading the 3 different documents. By the time Monday came, she was scared to death. Please don't do that. I don't want you to spend your time looking at that document until you've narrowed down the scope, you found something that you really like. And one of the things that I learned years ago is that when you do read it, you want to read it as if you've been in business for a couple of years. Why would you say that, Phyllis? Well, because if you've been working hard for the last 2 years and you look at this document, you've got time invested. You're going to look at it very differently than looking at it from fresh eyes thinking, what are these guys trying to do to me? They're trying to screw me. Well, we don't want that. I want you to take the time to get to know these different companies, get to know the culture, get to know the people, and I promise you, you're going to find the one that's going to bubble up. It always happens. 9 times out of 10, the one you think you're going to love, the more you get to know it, the more it's not what you thought it was. Big surprise. And the one that you didn't want to look at, and I went, oh, please, you fall in love with. It's just the nature of the business. One of the reasons you have me here is because I've spent a lot of years getting to know these companies, getting to know the founders. I really do love franchising, and I'm very glad you're here. And I hope that you will trust me to hang in there and let's explore and let's find what will be the perfect match for you. Thanks.